You ever find yourself at an airport just looking out the window at all the different planes on the tarmac? You've got a sleek Airbus over here, a classic Boeing over there, and you have to wonder, how does one pilot learn to fly all those different jets? I mean, they can't just hop from one to the next, right? Well, you're absolutely right, and that's exactly what we're going to dive into. So, really, how does a pilot get the keys to a specific multi-million-dollar aircraft? How do they prove they're ready to command that machine with hundreds of people on board? It all comes down to something called a type rating. So what is a type rating? Well, at its core, it's an advanced qualification that gets added or endorsed onto a pilot's main license. It's not a new license, but a special stamp that says, hey, this pilot has been intensely trained and tested on this specific make and model of aircraft. It's literally the key to that specific cockpit. The easiest way to think about it is with a driving analogy. Your standard driver's license says you're good to go in a normal car, but you wouldn't want someone with a brand new license to jump behind the wheel of a massive 18-wheeler, would you? Of course not. It's the exact same logic in aviation, just, with stakes that are thousands of feet higher. All right, so we get the basic idea, but when is a type rating actually required by law, and why is it so incredibly important? Let's get into the nitty-gritty. The rules are actually super specific and pretty straightforward. A pilot needs a type rating if the aircraft weighs more than 12,500 pounds, if it's powered by a turbojet, or if it needs a crew of more than one pilot. So yeah, that pretty much covers every single commercial airliner you've ever flown on. And here's the why behind all of this. Let's take the cockpit of an Airbus A320. It's a marvel of technology, famous for its fly-by-wire system and the side stick the pilot uses to control it. The entire philosophy is built around computer assistance. But then you step into a Boeing 737, and it's a completely different world. You've got a traditional control yoke, and the whole system's architecture is different. A pilot who is an expert on the Airbus is basically a student in the Boeing. And that's the whole point of a type rating, to guarantee deep, specialized mastery of one complex machine at a time. So how in the world does a pilot earn this thing? Let me tell you, it is not a weekend course. It's a serious grind that starts with an intense academic phase, all on the ground, long before they even think about flying. The whole journey really boils down to two main phases. First, you've got the pure brain work, the ground training. And only after they've mastered that do they move on to the hands-on part, the incredibly realistic simulator training. Let's start with phase one. For about 2 solid weeks, a pilot's life is completely consumed by what's called computer-based training, or CBT. They are digging deep into the aircraft's manuals, especially the Flight Crew Operations Manual, the FCOM. Yeah, that's basically their Bible for the jet. They have to know everything from the hydraulic systems to the electrical circuits and prove it by passing a bunch of tough exams. Okay, so they've hit the books hard. They've proven they know the aircraft inside and out on paper. Now it's time to put all that theory into practice in the virtual world. Now, they don't just jump into the deep end. They usually start in what's called a fixed-base simulator, or FBS. It's a perfect replica of the cockpit, but it doesn't move. It's all about practicing procedures, checklists, and getting the flow right. After that, they graduate to the big leagues, the full flight simulator, the FFS. And this thing is the real deal, a multi-million-dollar beast on giant hydraulic legs that can perfectly replicate everything from a smooth takeoff to an engine failure in a thunderstorm. And yeah, this kind of high-tech training, it doesn't come cheap. Not at all. Getting a single type rating, say for a Boeing 737, can set a pilot or their airline back around 14 lakh rupees. We're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 17,000 US dollars. It's a huge investment. But it's not just about one person flying a plane. A massive, massive part of this training is dedicated to crew resource management, or CRM. This is all about teamwork. It's where they practice working together as a seamless unit, defining who is the pilot flying, the one with their hands on the controls, and who is the pilot monitoring, handling radios and checklists. It's about ensuring two pilots are functioning as one brain, especially when things go wrong. So, after weeks of intense study and so many hours in the simulator, it all comes down to this one moment, the final exam. This is where pilots have to prove they have what it takes. And it's not just one test, it's a gauntlet. You've got LOFT, which stands for Line-Oriented Flying Training. That simulates a whole flight, from gate to gate, where the examiner can throw anything at them. Then there's the raw skill test and proficiency check, where they have to perfectly execute specific maneuvers and emergency procedures on command. The pressure is immense. And all of that leads to the legendary check ride. This is it, the final boss battle. It's the practical exam with an official examiner sitting right behind them, watching every single move. The outcome is simple. You pass, you get your rating. You fail, and it's back to the simulator. I think this quote just sums it up perfectly. Earning a type rating isn't just about passing some test. It means you've mastered a complex machine from nose to tail. It's a true declaration of absolute expertise. Okay, that sounds incredibly tough, right? And expensive. So why go through all of this? What's the real point? Let's connect all the dots. Well, the payoff is huge, and it really comes down to a few key things. At the very top of the list, of course, is passenger safety. This whole process exists to make sure the people in the cockpit are true experts on that specific plane. And for the pilots themselves, this is their career. You simply cannot get hired as a first officer at an airline without one. It's the key that unlocks the job. And here's the kicker. Earning the rating? That's not the end of the road, not even close. These skills are perishable. To keep their type rating valid, pilots have to go back into the simulator for recurrent training and proficiency checks every 6 to 12 months for their entire career. It's a constant cycle of relearning and retesting. So when you boil it all down, a type rating is so much more than just a stamp in a logbook or a piece of paper. It's really a testament to a pilot's dedication, to their skill, and to their proven ability to safely command an incredibly complex machine under any circumstance. So I'll leave you with this question. The next time you board a flight and you hear that calm, confident voice from the cockpit say, "Welcome aboard," maybe you'll have a whole new appreciation for the incredible journey of mastery it took for them to be sitting in that seat.